constituencies, 36 out of 275. We have 36 yet to be done. And these 36, there are some, I'll give you the details, those that have legal issues, those that requested for rescheduling because they needed to have time to do other things that were happening in the constituency on the 23rd, and yet others, the weather affected them, or the printing of the materials for the elections, which got to them a bit late. So I'll give you all those details later. Date for national elections, we've just finished the constituency. When we finished the branches, we told you the constituencies. The General Secretary acting has just indicated to you that from here we'll be having a meeting and we'll let you know when we'll have the regions. So let's deal with the regions first before we come to a date for national elections. Sanrigo constituency overvoting. The constituency is voting today, so I'm surprised how overvoting will happen in a constituency that is voting today. Tamale North and Sanrigo constituency are voting today. They are two constituencies that had issues with the printing of their ballots, that the arrangement of candidates on the ballot, or in some case, aspirants who have voluntarily stepped down from contesting found their pictures on the ballot paper. So the elections in those two constituencies in Tamale Metropolis was rescheduled and is happening today. Sanrigo is currently at the Ali Muhammad Stadium in Tamale having their conference. So there couldn't have been overvoting when we postponed that. Some people, I'm sure, prepared their scripts even before 23rd. So they didn't even wait to check whether it happened or not, and they still sent those scripts out. Sanrigo didn't have their conference on the 23rd. There was no voting, so there wouldn't have been overvoting. In Sawam, Edwin constituency, postponing, they rescheduled their elections to 30th. And I'm sure if it is about money, moving from 23rd to 30th, unless you are going to do the printing of the money yourself, how possible it is to raise money to do your program just within a week. So it wouldn't have been just the issue of money that led to that. Other challenges affected Sawam Edwin. So this weekend, the 30th, will be one of the constituencies that will be having their elections. Maybe so you don't ask questions that we have information for you already. Let me just go through the details that we have. In Central Region, 21 out of 23 constituencies conducted their elections. We have Gomwa Central and Asen South still outstanding. For Gomwa Central, we rescheduled it earlier, so we knew we were not going to have it done. But for Asen South, on the day that they met to have their conference, there was some miscommunication. And so the tension that was building up did not allow for the conference to continue. So it's been postponed, and they will do that this weekend. So by the end of this week, Central Region will have a complete set of their constituencies, 23 having their conference. However, we had a tie in a deputy women organizer position for Cape Coast South, and then in Himain Lower Dintra, there was a tie also for women organizers position. So a date will be set for another ballot if negotiations don't work out. In Volta Region, 25, we have 26 constituencies. 25 conducted their elections. Annual constituency requested to be given a different date to have their elections. We gave them 2 dates, either 30th or 7th of July. It looks like they are heading for the 7th of July. They had a major funeral over the weekend on the 23rd, so it was not possible for them to organize their elections. We also have a tie in Ketusa for women organizer position, and in Krati Chumuru youth organizer position, there is a tie. In Accra East, we are yet to determine the outcome of the Deputy Women Organizer position for Volta region. So that one also will be done. In Upper East, out of 15 constituencies, 13 had their conferences held. Navrongo and Bolga Central was rescheduled. Navrongo will have theirs on the 30th, this weekend. Bolga Central is a matter that National will go in to deal with before they will have their elections. There was also a tie in Talensi for the position of women organizer. And so that one also, there's a need to invite the branch women organizers to determine the outcome for that position. In Upper West, we have Nandom, which has a legal issue, and therefore that we announced earlier we're not going to have the conference there. Then Lambusie also, the printing of their ballots had a challenge. They actually balloted for position, but in the printing of the ballots, there was a total rearrangement of almost every position, creating some confusion among the delegates. So that election have also been pushed for this weekend. So it's going to happen on the 30th. And so, really speaking, by the end of this weekend, it will be left with only Nandon in Upper West. In the Western region, out of 26 constituencies, 24 had their conferences. Amenfi East, we've rescheduled, a date is yet to be determined. Amenfi Central will have theirs on the 30th of June, this weekend. In that region also, the Deputy Women Organizer position, there was a tie in second D. So that we will determine also later. In Brong-Ahafo region, out of 29 constituencies, 27 had their conferences. Sunyani East is rescheduled. Jam and South is also rescheduled. Jam and South will have theirs on the 30th. Sunyani East, a date will be determined later. In that region also, in Kranza North, there was a tie for Deputy Women Organizer position. So we will do a rerun for that position. Then Northern region, you have 28 out of 31 constituencies holding their elections. Sanrego and Tamale Central, which our colleague from the Punch newspaper asked about, is having their elections today. These two constituencies, they are having theirs today. They didn't do it on the 23rd. Pandai and Savlugu has also been rescheduled, and that one, the statement that was issued earlier, you have a copy of it. Then Bole Bamboy also rescheduled. A date will be determined for these other three when we are going to have it. In Ashanti region, out of 47 constituencies, 30 were able to hold their elections. Offensive North, Eprofrum, Ajuma, Miabijia North, Mponia, Ajuma, Oforikrum, Mansui Julia, Asante Achemsa, Asante Mampo, Nsuta, all these and Asokwa had their elections rescheduled to a later date. In the case of Bantama, there was a tie for Deputy Women Organizer position. At Dansia Sokwa, there was a tie for Deputy Youth Organizer position. And also in Ejisu, there was a postponement of the Youth Organizer position. That was not also determined. So that's the case of Ashanti region. So in all, we did 30, we left it 47. Tomorrow, 2 more will have their elections in Ashanti region. So that will reduce the number of down from 17 to 15. In the Eastern region, 23 out of 33 constituencies held their elections. Ebuakwa North will be doing theirs on Thursday, 28th. Yellow will do, that's Yellow Krobo, will do DS on the 30th. New Joabin South, that's Koforidua, will also do DS on the 30th. Fantiakwa North would also have their elections on the 30th. Nsawam Edwejiri, as I mentioned to you earlier, reschedule will have it on the 30th. Nkoko will also have theirs on the 30th. Kede is a legal matter, so we have to deal with the legal matter before a date can be determined. Ekropong is also a legal matter, so we have to deal with it before we determine a date. Afram Plains South, we put it on hold, and so a date will be determined later. Fantiakwa South, it was our decision to put it on hold, so we'll determine a date for them. Then, last but not the least, is Greater Accra. 27 out of 34 constituencies held their elections. Medina, Tema East, and Okaikwe South had their elections rescheduled. In the case of Medina, the delegates or some members of the conference thought that voting should have been done ward by ward, not branch by branch. So if they mention a particular branch from one ward and then they mention another branch from another ward, they didn't understand why it was the case. So it led to some complaints. And so the decision was that they reschedule and then a date will be given them to do it. They have agreed now to have the Medina elections on the 30th. And then Tema East have agreed for 27th. And then Okaikwe South has agreed for 30th. Ningo Prampram, Amasama, and then Ayawasu West, Wogon, and Ladade Kotopon, we put them on hold. And we'll determine dates for these areas and announce to you. In Ayawaso Central, there was a tie for the women organizer position. So they are still working out to see what will happen. But they are proposing 29th of June to see if the case could be determined by inviting the delegates again. Then Domi Kwabenya is also having a tie for the women and deputy organizer. So we will have to look at that one also. A date has been proposed for 29th to determine that also. So if you ask, this is the outcome of our conferences, and it's been a major success. This has not happened in any political party before. You didn't hear any disturbance anywhere. Nobody left there maybe with any injury. It all went really well. And like I said earlier, some newspapers had stories already before 23rd. And so they still found a way of putting those stories out on Monday. But that will not derail our march for Victory 2020. I thank you very much.